So this part of the guide is a video that is part of a 6-video series around the core concepts of the 5x5. This is the third video of 6. If you haven't seen the previous 2 videos, I'm going to recommend that you start with those and then rewatch this one. Now, each of those videos are about 5 minutes or less, but here what we're talking about is the third graphic in the series of your guide around the 5x5, and it is the graphic that focuses on peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. So when we talk about the 5x5, we say that everything that we build should provide for both us, ourselves, and everybody that we interact with peace, contentment, joy, and be fully informed by gratitude and compassion. So there's one I'm going to start with here, joy. Now, is it really my responsibility to make sure that I provide joy for someone? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's not even possible. That's not what joy is listed on there for. The fact is, I kind of take a look at it more like this, is I can't guarantee that I can create joy for someone. Let's just say a client, a buyer, or a seller, okay? I can't guarantee that they'll have joy, but I need to be self-aware, hyper-aware of what has the capability. This is the key. What has the capability of stealing their joy? If I can be self-aware, hyper-aware of what has the capability of stealing their joy, what can I do in my systems in a scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, efficient, and effective way to make sure that I notice what has the capability of stealing their joy, and I build systems that make sure that that is taken care of, that that never happens to them. So one of the number one things that steals a buyer or seller's joy in real estate, and this is National Association of Realtors, they've done this survey so many times, and the answer is always the same. What's the number one complaint? Lack of communication. So if you know that has a capability, you know that ahead of time, or you notice it, the fact is you are noticing what has the ability to steal their joy, and you can now develop systems to ensure that you have put systems and processes in place. Systems and processes you will honor in place to help ensure that what was having the capability of stealing their joy really is a non-issue at this point, because it's not even possible for it to happen anymore because your systems have that covered. It's not your job to provide someone joy, but it is your job to notice what has the capability of stealing their joy and putting systems in place to handle that. That is what we mean by joy. So that's what these measures are. Now, why would I do that? Let's talk about the 5x5. One of the 5x5 is compassion. I want to make sure that we are producing systems that create for both myself and everybody I interact with peace, contentment, joy, and are fully informed by gratitude and compassion. So there's that compassion one. Why would I want to be aware of what has the capability of stealing someone's joy? Because I have compassion. Okay, now let's look at your staff. Are there things in your staff that you can be aware of that for your staff, you are aware of the fact that it has the capability of stealing your staff's joy? Are there things in your systems and your process and your work environment and your work culture that have the capability of stealing your joy? Because you have compassion for yourself, because you have compassion for your clients, because you have compassion for your agents, because you have compassion for your vendors, you are going to make sure that you're hyper aware of what has the capability of stealing their joy. Now, if you want to make sure that you are developing systems that someone can experience peace and contentment, how likely is it that they're going to be able to experience peace and contentment when something is stealing their joy? So if we want to be able to make sure that they have the ability to experience peace and joy throughout that transaction, we want to have compassion for the fact that we want them to be able to experience that, but we're aware of what can actually steal that from them. And because we have compassion, we're aware of that, and we're going to build systems around that in a scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, efficient. Do you see how all of these are intertwined? Now, I would do that because I'm crazy grateful for what I do. That's part of the 5x5 too. Great gratitude, okay? I'm crazy grateful for this opportunity to serve others. I'm crazy grateful for the opportunity to work with the people that I work with, whether that be my coworkers, whether that be my employees, whether that be my boss, whether I am the boss, and the people that have agreed to join my team, and the buyers and sellers that I work with. This is also integrated, the 5x5. It's all integrated in every way, shape, or form. So when you look at the 5x5, there's the right side, there's the left side, there's a right brain, there's a left brain. Sometimes you're going to have customers, sometimes you're going to have vendors, sometimes you're going to have employees, and sometimes yourself, that you're thinking more from a logical perspective, and the scalable, duplicatable, and all that just kind of, it resonates with you. And then there's other times that you're just thinking more from an emotional level. Or you have customers that are more driven towards the emotional level. And so they more are paying attention to the things about like peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. These 10 core concepts and principles, the 5x5, are so integrated, I don't even know how to pull them apart at this point. Okay, so I hope that helps to break down that third graphic for you. Now let's move on to the next two graphics. I'm pretty excited about the next 2 or 3 graphics to kind of put some of this all together. All right, let's move on.